Last week we talked a little bit about building reusable automation components in AppSheet. And as part of that, I mentioned that a while back they had done a redesign of the user interface. And as part of that, they made the menus for accessing tasks and events and processes a little bit more hidden than they had been in the past. And I don't really love that because it requires you to actually go in and create a fake bot or a fake automation in order to be able to create one of those reusable components. Because the only way that you can access those menu interfaces is if one of those things exists. So this week I was messing around in this settings menu over here and this editor settings menu specifically, and I noticed that this show all components option was here, and I was like, oh great, maybe I can go in and check that and it's going to actually show all those menus, bring back what was there underneath the automations menu here. And again, if you had seen that video, and if you haven't, I'll include a link to it. I was excited thinking that you could bring those options back here and have them show up all the time underneath this automation menu if you turn that option on. However, unfortunately, I found that that's not really the case. If I do go and turn that on, and even if I refresh, you'll see that there's still nothing underneath that menu. Boo-hoo. But what this does do is it makes things show up under that menu even if they're not marked as reusable. So again, we want to mark something as reusable, like this event, let's say, you would click this little linking on or off, and when it's turned on is when it will show up. So you see I have a new event here. Now, even though that's not set as linking on, it still shows up under the, events shows up underneath the automation menu because we have an event, even though linking's not on. So that's what that toggle does, is it actually turns this, it makes these things show up regardless of whether linking is on or off. Where what I wanted was more that it shows up, that those three menus, processes, events, tasks, show up underneath here all the time, so that if I just want to create a new process, I can go in and do that, and I don't have to go create an automation, a fake automation that I don't actually need, or a fake bot that I don't need, just in order to be able to get access to that menu. So that's the finding. Unfortunately, again, it does not, under that menu, turn that option on. However, let me delete this really quick. What I did find, a way that I can get access to those is, so if I go right here, it goes to the automation menu, it's blank, and you see up here in my URL, it says automation bots. And what you can do to be able to access those menus, even when you haven't created an automation, is just change your URL to whatever you want to actually access. So if I want to say processes, I can just put processes, automation.processes at the end of the URL. It will go there, and you see now I'm in the processes menu. I can create now a detached process that's not attached to any particular automation, and then I can create automations and attach them after the fact. Same thing goes for, okay, let me delete that one. Same thing goes for events. I can just say automation.events. And it goes, and you see events here. I can create an event, and the same thing for automation tasks. So not the most convenient thing, and also I admit this probably is not something most AppSheet users need, but if you are creating a lot of these reusable components, it's a handy thing to know that you can get to them like this, just to, again, prevent having to create these completely throwaway automations just to get access to those menus. So anyway, that's today's quick tip. Thanks for watching, and happy building.